Hey everybody, so today I'm gonna start a couple of different bands. A prototype band with 12 stones in it, and I have this band which fits me, but it's a little loose, so I'm gonna remake it. So I got a couple of pieces of gold here from my last project. This one I think is gonna be perfect for that. And this piece of gold I think will be great to rebuild that with a little bit more heft. Today I'm going to start this one. It's a much easier design, so I think it's going to work pretty well. I'm going to start with an ingot, and then I guess I'll take some measurements. I might not talk as much in this video. 3.8 millimeters by 1.4 millimeters that way. So I think I want to go more like 5 millimeters, and I like the thickness to that 1.4. That's good, because I don't need it to be too thick. I just kind of want it to be a little wider and then smaller. So those are my starting measurements. This ring is a size 9 and weighs 0.226 troy ounces, 7 grams. Well, you can't see that, but it's 7 grams. So this piece here is 14 grams, so that'll be plenty. So first things first, this is my gold block. Try to just use it for gold. A lot of use out of my silver block recently, but this will be my first gold project in a while. Keep soaking it in. I think I'm gonna try map gas. I like how map gas works, so. So the first melt was kind of just to get it a little bit less flat, and I think I'll hammer this a little bit just so the second melt, you can kind of see the bar didn't really melt all the way through, and that's okay. You don't need to mush it all the way to the final form on the first melt. And as you can see, I didn't really get it very far in the first melt in the first hammer, but when I get the second melt on there, this will all be more like a rectangular prism, which is how I like to start. So I'll go ahead and melt that again, just on the block. That should be fine. Use propane this time. How about that? Alright, so that smoothed that all out. Now I'm going to flip it over and do it again. On this side. That looks pretty good. Yeah, sure. I've quickly gotten it to a point where I could send this through the rolling mill. You see there's no sharp edges. It's got a little divot there, but that's okay. You get some eggshell on the side, but that's pretty much ready to just squash through. So I guess I'm just going to try to squish it right through. See how far we can get with that. Try the biggest. Sure. So it's kind of a bit of banana, but it looks pretty good. The rolling mill makes like some perfect 90-degree angles. Because these ends don't really get transferred by the end of the rolling mill, I'll go ahead and melt this again. Maybe these ends will squish in. Yeah, I'll probably end there on the rolling mill and go ahead and melt it again and then roll it out some more. Looks good. So it's kind of turning into a banana, so I'm gonna hit it on the anvil to flatten it out. I just flattened it out on the anvil off camera, but it was just a couple hits. Just make it flat again. But now that I did that, I'm gonna anneal it just so we can draw it out some more. I'm not gonna melt it this time, I'm just gonna anneal. So now this is 5 by 5, and I probably want to bring it down to something more like 3. I want it to be wider than this, but I'm going to start with a square wire. I'm going to go down to 3, and then I'm going to flatten it out until it's about maybe 2 millimeters thick, maybe more like 1/7, and that's actually going to widen it again. Let's get it down to 3 to start, and then we'll make it fat. Fat and flat. This is going to draw out quite substantially. So I'm at 4.5. I'll go just a little bit longer before I have to anneal again. So now it's flat and straight. 4.37. Still got a ways to go. Getting there. So I'm looking at this and this bar, and I think I'm going to stop the square part of the bar at the width that this ring was. So when I flatten it out, it'll get wider and longer and flatter. So it'll widen out significantly. But I think this width is a good starting place. And how flat do we need to get it? 1.4 after work hardening. Yeah, sure. Alright, anneal and then flatten. How about that? We're making decisions here. So you can kind of see it's kind of getting a little S to it, so I'm going to have to flatten it out on the anvil. Our first flattening here, we get 2.7 by 3.5. So it's widened up a bit. Gotta anneal again. .174 by 3.7. I'm gonna stop drawing this out, and instead I'm gonna hit it on the anvil to see if it'll widen out more. Now it's 4.2, 4.1 by 1.5. So it's definitely wider. I thought that was going to go wider than it did, but that's okay. It does look pretty good. Alright, I guess I'm going to wrap it up and go from there. But first we're going to have to anneal it again because it's very work hardened right now. Gonna go ahead and bend it up. So this one I made the other day is a 9, and that's too big. So I think I'm going to try to start at a 7 and bring it up to an 8.5. I'm going to close it up at a 7. It's not going to cut. Well, my cut was closer to a 7.5 than an 8. Well, yeah, I wanted it to be closer to 7, so I need to make another cut. Alright, so cut number 2. Oh man. Alright, so this is a little bit better, but the way that these are mated are kind of funny. So I'm gonna file it down. Alright, that looks a little better. Alright, sure. So I got my ring. Ooh, not looking so round right now. Oops. Alright, a little rounder. That's good. I'm gonna bend it down. Bend you down. crack there. That's good. I'm gonna go ahead and try to fuse it, which is not always my favorite thing to do, but it's probably worth it. Piece of scrap. Put it in the joint. Okay. That looks good. And then I'll go ahead and melt that up. And you can watch from way back there. Wish me luck. It sucked. It's fine. Kind of got a little carried away on the melting on the sides here, like there, but it's probably fine. Let's see what it says. 6.5, because there's a nub in there right now. Let's just whack it. Right after fusing, it's just above a 7. It's a little wobbly, but I'm gonna hammer it out, see what I get. I'll do it right here, so you can watch. Alright. That actually took pretty well. I'm gonna just flatten it out here. So we're right at an 8.5. And it's relatively flat. Does it fit? Yeah, it fits. It's a bit tight. Oh boy, it's a bit tight. Okay. But that's a good thing. It means I have a little bit more leeway. I can go ahead and file down the inside just a touch, especially around that joint. It doesn't look great. Yeah, that's comfortable. It's definitely bigger, like wider, and it's definitely snugger, because this one make a fool out of me. Yeah, that one comes off pretty easily, and this one's definitely snugger, which I want. I wanted that a little snug. Yeah, that's nice. Oops, let's just throw it. Alright. I think that's a decent You know, maybe this is a fat day ring and that's a skinny day ring. Let's see, what's the final weight on this new one? 7.7. The first one was 7.0. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, it's wicked nice. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Yeah.